What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So I feel like I wanted to have an important discussion on this channel, and that discussion is involving the Black and Brown coalition, right? Is it a myth? Is it a real thing? And why a lot of Black Americans are distrusting of a Black and Brown coalition. Now, this conversation is stemming from something that I saw on Twitter, or now known as X. The View has a Twitter page or X page, and Anna Navarro, a panelist on The View, is quoted as saying this: Black and brown people need to be side by side because together we're a hell of a lot stronger. We should be asking for a piece of the pie and not competing for a small piece, right? Well, Anna Navarro, a lot of Black Americans are distrusting of a Black and brown coalition because, for one, this reason. A lot of brown individuals, brown people, from Latin, or who are of Latin descent or from Spanish-speaking countries, they're Hispanic. A lot of them classify or identify as white, and then they begin to perpetuate negative stereotypes of Black folks. Right? They assimilate with the beliefs of white supremacists. They start talking down on Black American people. When we try to fight for certain rights, or when we have conversations about reparations, we start getting these talk about us being nothing but degenerates, whiners, complainers, lazy individuals who only want handouts. They start to regurgitate a lot of the talking points of white supremacists, right? And that becomes a problem because there are a lot of brown people who only want a coalition when they can benefit from, whatever oppression that Black folks are going through, or for whatever movement we have going on. That's a lot of times they only want a coalition, when they can benefit from it or use Black Americans' oppressions as a stepladder, which is a problem for us, a lot of Black folks, right? There's a lot of times, man, there's a lot of times where Black folks have looked for other ethnicities or other people to lend their voice to certain issues. And while there have been non-black people who have lent their voice to Black issues, a lot of times there isn't an abundance of them. A lot of times we get looked at as shifty, we get the side eye, we get looked at as if we're just nothing but troublemakers, etc. Right? And for a long time in this country, Black folks have been riding for other people for the longest of time, marching with other people for their rights, for their social movement, that social movement, but it's not reciprocated, when it's time for Black folks to get things. And that becomes a problem. So then Black people start questioning, is there really a coalition? Yes, there are dark-skinned Hispanics who still will classify as white. And honestly, when you just think about this, right? I know a lot of times in a lot of Hispanic-speaking countries, the dark Hispanics, not Hispanic, Hispanic-speaking countries, Spanish-speaking countries, in South America, the dark Hispanics are treated like scum at the bottom of their shoe. They're discriminated in major ways, and that disrespect has transferred to Black Americans when they're here, right? When those aforementioned immigrants come to America, they have this distaste for Black Americans, and again, many Black folks, Black American people, over the years have faced enough racism from brown people that to call it a coalition is a fallacy. Let me just take this point. Anna Navarro was born to a land-owning family in Nicaragua. She's a white Nicaraguan, Anna Navarro. She's the daughter of a former minister of agriculture under the administration of Enrique Bolaños Gayer. And her father's name is Jose Augusto Navarro Flores. Anna's family had Black folks forcibly working their land in Nicaragua, proving that her family did not really care for a coalition because they weren't trying to build with the Black Nicaraguans over there, right? They maintained a white supremacist ideology, the family that she comes from, right? And so Anna is now advocating that Black folks in the United States walk in lockstep with a lot of people who are Spanish-speaking white supremacists who systemically undermine Black movements for advancement in this country, civil rights movements, economic advancements, etc. So historically, many brown Americans and Black Americans don't have the same end goals. That becomes a problem. Many brown Americans want to assimilate to white supremacist ideologies, right? And for some is they've always for some of them they always practice this in their country. Then you have some who, and I spoke about this in previous videos. They come to a lot of some immigrants from South America. They come to America, and they are so scared to, I guess, be off cold with the white majority. They don't want to be looked at as troublemakers. They don't want to be looked at as people who are just trying to stir up trouble, and so they don't want to think differently from the white majority in any way. Even if it's something that's wrong, they just side with that so that they won't be at risk for. A lot of them are scared of being what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of them are scared of being what's the word I'm looking for? Deported. I'm sorry. A lot of them are scared of being deported. And so you got some of them who just side with white supremacist ideology out of that fear. And some of them have always been practicing that. Like I just said, with certain people like the family that Anna Navarro comes from. And on the other hand, black folks for years have been wanting to buck the system and get our people the rights and benefits we are rightfully owed. And I'm not saying that all Hispanic people are like that, because it's not. It's a lot of Hispanic people who fight for their freedoms and privileges, who are on that type of time, but it's a lot of them who are not. And so when you got some brown folks who want to just assimilate, and then you got black folks who want to buck the system, our end goals aren't the same, and it's a clashing thing, right? And then, yeah, man, I think due to the wrong that has been done to our people, Black American people feel like it is our duty to advocate for ourselves in America. Because if we mix our purpose with other people's, ours will get drowned out as it has been done for so long. When they try to frame stuff under people of color, hey, we're trying to do this for people of color. Black people are often left out and left in the dust. When they try to do things for minorities, a minority is anybody that's not a white male. That could be a white woman, Indian person, Asian person, Hispanic person. Is not specifically for black people. If you ever noticed in this country, people don't want to, like a lot of politicians have often used person of color, minority to try to get away from saying I want to do this for black people, because when you want to do something solely for black people, you are looked at as you're being a racist, or you're looked at as if you're being divisive. Why? When there are things for Native American people in this country, there are things done for Hispanic Americans in this country, for Asian Americans, etc. But when black folks want something done, oh my God, it's racist, it's racist, it's racist. So black folks don't want to be mixing in with coalitions, because black folks get left at the back burner of things. And black folks tired of that. Personally, my people, I am, and a lot of people I know are tired of that. So the coalition, it sometimes, well, one, we don't want to get left out in certain situations like we do. And then sometimes that coalition, a lot of times, the coalition can be seen one-sided. And after decades of standing with other ethnicities on certain issues, black folks honestly have to fight our own fight. And to be real, and not to be, some people might not like this, because we've been left out for so long fighting other fights for other people. Now's the time to be selfish. And, we have to say we want this solely for black folks, to make sure stuff gets done, because the people of color con game has been run for so long. We ain't got nothing out of that for real, right? And at this point, black folks don't owe other people or other social issues our allegiance or labor, because oftentimes, again, we've asked for it ourselves. We've asked for allegiance from other communities. And while we've gotten some from certain individuals and a decent amount, a lot of times we still get looked at as complainers and whiners and naggers and, lazy bums, etc., right? It wasn't until George Floyd was murdered by the police, by Derek Chauvin, that a lot of other folks outside of the black community finally wanted to hear us out a little bit. You had to have George Floyd die for people to want to hear us out a little bit, when we've had countless examples of black folks getting murdered by law enforcement, right? And so, yeah, man, a lot of black folks are tired of that, man, because a lot of black folks are distrusting of a black and brown coalition, because again, we see a lot of brown folks they align with white supremacist ideologies, and we don't have time for that. We don't. We don't have time to be trying to build, and then we find out you're a double agent. You know, and I feel that. And the problem with that is too, because I don't like when black folks are looked down and belittled and trashed and looked at as complainers and whiners. Listen, and I'm stuttering a little bit. Sorry about that. Going to grad school at Arkansas State University. When I was in the grad program, we had people from all across the country. A lot of international students there in that grad program. I had a friend from Bangladesh. Had friends I had a friend from Saudi Arabia. I had a couple of friends from where is Bangkok at? Thailand. I had friends from Nigeria, friends from India, China, etc. And all of them always have told me that their people told them stay away from black folks when they came over here. Right? Now, my boy from Nigeria, he didn't tell me that, but the other people from all them other countries, they were taught that black people were bad people, that they should stay away from us. We're troublemakers. We're violent people. You know, we're going to do things to harm them, etc. And when they came to America, they found that a lot of black folks, that we were the coolest and nicest people to them, right? Because we didn't make fun of their accent. We didn't belittle them. We didn't talk about them. We didn't make them feel like they were just nothing but outsiders. We welcomed them, etc. A lot of the other black folks in the program, me and my two other people, Rodney and Joanna, who were from Mississippi Valley State at HBCU, and we went to grad school at Arkansas State, a predominantly white institution. A lot of my other folks from my HBCU, we was there in the program, and we was showing them a whole lot of love, hanging out with them, showing them nothing but respect. We were trying to understand them, not understand their language. We were listening to them. They can speak. They can speak fine. They had an accent, right? But we were getting an understanding of their culture, etc. Right? But then when we think about it, and I'm sitting here hearing all these stories about how black people are trashed across the world, I say, yo, what the fuck? This is crazy. All of y'all have been taught negative things about black folks and how we ain't this and we ain't that, and we like to scum at the bottom of your shoe and stay away from us because we ain't good people. My homegirl from Saudi Arabia told her her father told her she can marry any person but a black man. They told them to stay away from black folks. They're going to hurt you and all that, right? And I'm thinking about all this type of stuff. So let's go back to the conversation, the Black and Brown Coalition, where you have a lot of brown folks coming to America and looking down on black folks like we just degenerates, etc. How dare people do that when black folks have paved the way for immigrants to come to this country and thrive while we get trashed and drugged through the mud? Like, for real, like, I'm thinking about the migrant situation, right? And I don't have a problem with migrants getting help. Like I said in previous videos, my thing was that if you're going to help the migrants, why you can't help the homeless people? I'm thinking about here in Chicago, the migrants, they getting resources brought to them. Compared to black Americans who are homeless, they're not getting nothing. They're allowed to sleep in the police stations. Peter Santinello, look at his YouTube channel about, the Chicago. Look up Peter Santinello, Chicago. You'll see him talking about the migrant situation in Chicago, right? The black man, he was homeless. He was giving his shoes away. He had extra shoes, giving it to the migrants, right? One of the migrants. And he talked about how they won't let him sleep in the police station. He can't get certain things. They're getting certain landlords are getting incentivized. They're getting paid to house the migrants. They're getting housing. A lot of the black immigrants who've been in this country for the longest, they're not getting they're not getting housed. They're getting talked about, trashed, to be little, left on the street in the cold winters. Nobody helping them. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you see what I'm saying? Black folks laying down a foundation for folks in the country, getting trashed and drugged through the mud, paving the way for immigrants to come here and get everything that they need. They're getting housed, they're getting resources, they're getting all type of things brought to them at the police station while my people go through red tape to get crumbs. They getting a piece of the pie. Like I said, a lot of the immigrants have been getting their piece of the pie while black people have been going through red tape to get crumbs. And that's an issue. That is an issue. And that's why a lot of black folks feel like the Black and Brown Coalition is a myth, because when we want people to stand with us, it's a lot of brown folks that's not going to stand with us, that's not going to rock with us unless they getting something out of it. And black folks have been standing with other people for the longest time without getting nothing. Standing folks on this issue, that issue, this rights, those rights, that rights for this person, that person, that person. And when it's time for us, everybody get to looking at us. Why y'all black folks complaining? You're nagging. Why you being lazy? Why you being this? You don't want to work. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. Are you serious? Are you serious? When we ride, we've been riding for other folks all the time? No, man. It's a time when you got to be selfish, because if we don't say we need this for black folks and not for people of color and all of that, we don't get nothing. We don't get nothing. So, yeah, and I'll be damned if I'm sitting here trying to make a coalition with people who, and again, this is not everybody. I'm not saying all brown folks is like this or nothing, because there's some really cool Hispanic brothers and sisters and all of that. But there's some other ones, a lot of them, who identify as white, and they have a white supremacist ideology. So why am I making a coalition with a Spanish-speaking white supremacist? It doesn't make any sense. Our goals are not aligned with one another at all. I'm looking for trying to get benefits for my folks. I'm looking to get uplifting. I'm trying to get the rights and benefits real rightfully owed. I'm not trying to assimilate to what white supremacists got going on and be up under them and be kissing ass and kissing boots. No. So that's why black folks have, they are distrusting of a black and brown coalition. A lot of the racist acts that have happened against black folks have come at the hands of white supremacists, brown folks with white supremacist ideologies. And that ain't cool. Again, I'm not saying all. I don't speak in absolutes on this channel, but it is true. It's true, man. And one can argue that there haven't been many brown movements in America that have specifically included black folks. And so when you look at those things and you look at, black folks would be distrusting of that. Because it's like, yo, if we have your back, are you going to have ours? If we scratch your back, are you going to scratch ours? It hasn't happened. It hasn't been reciprocated. So black people are distrusting of that union.